is ask if you can just think of one thing that stands out from that season for you. Either one match or one memory or something like that. Just to start off with, just think if you can think of one thing. It can be an overall thing about the whole season if you want. We'll start off with you, Jake, because obviously then no pressure on you time-wise then after that. So,
Brilliant.
yeah,
I remember Norcross, Heinz's ton,
yeah,
and were it 6 for me.
you got 6 for pal, yeah, you did.
Yeah, and you know my memory, mate. Jeez, you know what I've been up to last whatever. Yeah. But that, and I remember Freck away.
Yes.
When I hit Frank, I remember hitting him, and I remember.
See, Kurt said it was him, but we all thought it were you.
No, it was definitely me.
Yeah.
It was definitely me. I remember Annie coming over and just like being like, "Oh mate, what have you done?"
Killed him.
I'm like,
because it weren't even a bad ball, were it? It just popped off the length.
A bit short. I remember it weren't a bouncer. Definitely weren't a bounce, but it was my length. It was probably just a normal length for me, just a bit back of the length, and I remember it just took off. It must have cracked seam and just gone.
Well, was Kurt not thinking
about the one? Was Kurt not thinking about the one at BAC?
Was the one there as well?
Yeah, there was one at BAC, wasn't there? Where he's
thinking.
Oh yeah. He nailed him. I remember that he nailed him.
I think Annie was captain at the time. Yeah, there was the one that Kurt got. Yeah,
but then was
Spiked. I think I captain that year.
Did you not? You were playing though when we
looked like it'll have been JT.
Are you sure? Did we not have that one game away? There were no one there. I'm sure JT were away one week when all Sam and Kez and all the rest of it were away.
There were a few games when they all had stag do or some form of holiday.
Well, that's it. I'm sure you did do one game skip.
Well, that helps then because Curtis thought he'd hit Frank, and when we were doing, I think it would have been the second half one, wouldn't it? So it would have been Kez and Sam that were with us. Yeah, and they were absolutely adamant it were you, and yeah, we thought that as well. To be fair, pal, because we can sort of remember it being not a great pitch, and it were a bit of an up and down pitch, and obviously we thought, like you said, just back of the length, and it popped on Frank, and yet he still came back out and still got some runs after patching set up.
Well, he got about. I don't think he quite got to a 50, did he? I think he got to about 40 odd,
41 or something like that. I think he got.
Yeah.
But
I remember. He nicked off, didn't he?
Yeah.
Nicked off big style. To me, it were they hated me then. I don't know why.
we did might have mentioned, Jake, in that episode actually that you were the person that everybody loved to hate in that league that year.
I don't know why.
I think it was your ultra competitiveness, as it's called, Jake.
No point turning up to lose, though, is there?
Oh,
come on,
absolutely,
what's point paying 12 quid to lose, you know? Well, if I ever, do I still owe club money, Paul? Whoever's financial
I'm not
man
doing
nowadays.
it anymore, it's all written off, mate.
Is it?
It's all written off. It's nil.
I'm signing back up, aren't I? I'm definitely making a comeback.
Well, that'll be a good one then, Jake. So Jake's big memory is nailing Frank Olden at Freck and the performance at Norcross, which to be fair was a good one.
It was Heinz's outrageous 107 were it that I remember. It was just literally, honestly, it went to all corners just all day. It must have been like 3-4 fours and over. Like you say, we were flying at 30 overs, weren't we? It was obviously, like you say, it was good old Dale collapse.
As usual that season, yeah.
Probably only saw about 36 overs.
We were all sat there, weren't we, watching Heinz and Kurt smoke it, and we thought, this looks like a piece of piss. And then we all went in, and I think I got one.
Pitch horrible.
The rest of
us
for me. Crap. Yeah.
Remember, I think I a scorer, and then I got out and Neil. I think it was me and you in the end, Neil, and you weren't happy. You know what you like when your last man gets out.
Well, you don't like seeing collapse from such a position that we were in, and end up like that.
We only batted 40 overs that game, didn't we, at Norcross?
Well, we talked about that a lot in the couple of episodes that we did, in terms of how many times did we knock a massive score up, but in, like, as Jake says, between 36 and 42 overs or something like that. And if we'd have battered, there was only a couple of occasions where we battered anybody lower than 6 got any decent runs. It was crazy. Like in that Norcross game, bloody Curtis getting 56 and then throwing his big paddy. That his other end, Hines is going nuts and carries on and gets 100. So,
I mean, if any of us got into teens, I mean, I were ecstatic. Me, I mean, I'd be buzzing. I wouldn't be able to sleep that night. But I'd be absolutely over the moon because I'd have known I'd a bit of 6 in them teens. The way I swung it.
Well, there would have been, there would have definitely been a boundary or two. That's for certain. So, yeah. Well, that's I've got to say, Jay, that's a good one to pick out because we picked that Norcross game out as a good one purely because of Kurt's whinging, in all honesty, more than Heinz's 100 and your 6 for, to be fair. But
I remember gloves and his gloves coming off and pads, and then back got launched around changing rooms.
It was literally as he was coming across boundary, and we were all sat on that little veranda area at Norcross, and literally, like you say, everything came off as he were walking across boundary.
I think I actually said bye, Kurt, and he was just just didn't even look.
I don't want to say that to him. Not a chance.
Well, it was the warm day, weren't it? Norcross was the hot one, weren't it?
It was. It was a roasting hot day. Yeah,
it was glorious. I think I've been on the night shift night before. I were absolutely goosed. I remember when we were batting for first hour, I went car.
Nah,
Can we ask Jake about Charnock?
No, we can't ask Jake about Charnock. No.
Let's not go there. I remember that one, but I just don't want to bring it up because of obvious reasons. I mean,
the ironic thing is, I found a photo because obviously I went around taking a lot of photos that season. I've got a photo of you gardening the wicket, but I don't think it was that actual ball where you did it and then he threw stumps down. So
I don't even want to say when I think of that much for what he did. I mean, good sportsmanship like that, innit, in a gentleman's sport.
But I've got to say, we all felt same, didn't we? I don't think there were any one of us.
That wasn't the game where I had the camera on the helmet.
Yeah.
I actually watched them other day, Shoz, and I nicked someone off, didn't I? And Kurt took it. The good old juggling Kurt.
Yeah,
he caught it,
isn't it?
Yeah, he juggled it.
The annoying thing about that was we caught you bowled it, I caught Brownie out, and the ball before I took the helmet off.
I remember.
Bloody typical.
Yeah.
Usual script.
That was but at the end of the day, at least we got revenge for him. We beat him at our place, so what goes around and all that. So yeah, it was just one of them days.
I remember that game. Sam and Kez were a bit like, "Oh, what's going to happen today? Ooh, fireworks."
They did mention that actually. Yeah, they did mention that.
They never turned up, did they?
No. So it's but that was a good one to talk about with Heinze because Heinze remembered that, just trying to drag you away as they were going into the changing room.
Oh,
quality. Right, Annie, come on. What's yours?
Got a few. The first game of the season went unnoticed. So me and Kurt had just signed.
Yeah.
And then I don't know this is 100% facts, but I'm certain of it. Me and Kurt both got ducks. Kurt got a golden, and I got a 3-ball duck. I'm almost certain of it. And there was a big raves. We got 2 new players coming down. Both can hold a bat. First game, bottled it.
I'm going to check that out now. While you carry on, I'm going to check that out.
So there's that one.
Yeah.
Second one, obviously getting the runs against Leyland, and then game getting abandoned. So runs that never went onto website or anything. Third one that we mentioned, that Heinze, when he got a ton he was down at the rec, and we were only chasing something like 140, and we were 80 for 1 when I came out, or 80 for 2. And
was that the F&B game, Dave, that we talked? Was it F&B or somebody like that?
I can't remember who, but Heinze were on 70 odd when I went out, and my second ball, I got full toss on leg stump, and it went for a 6 over towards the car park. So it was right on edge of that pitch.
Yeah.
And then after that, I didn't face the ball, and Heinze scored another 40 odd runs. And I'm just stood there thinking, I've had pad rash for 25 overs. I've come out and I faced 4 balls.
See, this goes in line with what Heinze was saying as well, though, in terms of the batters. The batters were so good that year. You all had this competitive spirit, good competitive spirit. Not, you weren't against each other, but all trying to get runs, weren't you?
Yeah.
But how many times that season, Neil, did we not bowl a team out though?
Not many.
I bet it was on one hand, literally one hand,
Yeah.
I bet you could count it.
Yeah.
Because even like both sides, like obviously the batters like Ainsley that year, mate, it was just something else. I mean, he was literally, you wouldn't even say he was like the level above. He was just like taking the proper mick out of players, like out of balling. Like people that like me and you are proper struggling against. He's seen it like chucking pies down at him.
Yeah.
And like obviously even Kurt when he started knocking it in like towards the second half of the season. I mean,
Well,
and then
Kurt's
Haney
second
starts
half of the
chipping.
season was ridiculous, both runs and wickets. So, you know, Irons all season through, but if Curtis could have done what he did in second half of the season, in first half of the season as well, he'd have probably surpassed Ironsy at that rate, where he were going. But
towards the end of the season, like you said, with his wickets, he was like he was hitting his peak. 8 wickets on last game of the season. I know hardly any of us were playing like ballers wise, but still, you've still got to take them.
Absolutely.
Still got to put it there, haven't you?
Well, Haney was spot on. Both him and Curtis did get a duck in first game. And that game was against F&B. F&B 158 all out. And we were 162 for one.
Did Chris Ward play for Fulwood?
Yes, he got 51.
So
and you got him out.
I remember his wicket, but he was batting early on, and JT come on, and JT was giving him a load of shit. Chris was only about 16 at the time. He was a young lad. He used to play footy for Burnley. He was a quality player, played cricket for them. I'm sure he plonked it into the conservatory of our best friends at the Rec. He definitely smashed it in, and he came out because he was saying that the kids were in the garden. And
is that game?
I remember that.
JT was still giving him shit after this kid had just lanced him into gardens.
Well, there's no surprise there, is there?
So JT's trying to bowl a decent line. I come on, and it was a dead half tracker, and he's pulled it straight to Mac on the boundary.
To be fair, JT could talk any batsman into form.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So no, that was the game, and you're spot on.
Yeah,
spot on in everything you say there, pal. So yeah. Paul,
Your
anything from
not
you?
That bad.
Well, I only played 6 games, so I was there to fill in when people are on stag do's or on holidays. The thing that I remember, I think it was you said before, like on the batting side of things, you had 5 lads who any one of them could have got runs, and often multiple ones of them got runs. So between like Haney, Hines, Kurt, Kez, Mac in there as well, kind of anyone will go in. What I remember is that there was one good knock I had, the one time when no one really fired apart from Mac in that fouled game at home. I think I was batting at 6 or 7, and we were 92 for 5 off 18 overs, chasing like 190. And you're going out there and you're thinking, bloody hell, there's still more than half of this game left, and we're already 5 down, because that was kind of the way we played, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Went for it, and often it came off, but when it didn't come off, you found yourself 4 or 5 down very quickly. So my memory of that is, I said that was the one good knock. I think, was it me and Scott?
You and Scott, so you 35, Scott 25, both not out at the end, yeah.
I think the scoreboard was a bit wrong though, wasn't it? So, you know.
Yeah,
who knows what the scores were on that one, but
you're right, Mac was the only one out of the top
50 odd, I think.
Yeah, I think we were a little bit, as you say, a little bit reduced. So it was Curtis and Haney opening, Mac 3, Gareth 4, Naz 5, Ben Petrez 6. So yeah, there was Mac got 56, and then yourself 35 and Scott 25 to see us.
I think extras were pretty high up as well in that one.
Yeah, probably were, to be honest, looking at that. Yeah, 31 extras, yeah.
Yeah, 31 extras,
Yeah. Right, so we've heard Paul's. Andy, you also, like Paul, didn't play a full season, but were a very vital part in filling in for Scott when he wasn't keeping. So give us your memories?
As I say, like I think I played about 8 or 9 games, and like a bit like Jake, my memory of playing games is dreadful. I can barely remember who we played last week, but like I know from that season. So I think the one overriding memory is when we played Leyland. We were fielding first. I took a catch off Jake, off Shaq.
Yes.
And Jake gave him a massive send off. I'm thinking, that's good. Yeah, we're just going to come out and face this guy now.
was that the game away at Wellfield?
It was, yeah. I didn't play the home game. I played the away game. Unfortunately, it sort of turned out in our favour because like Shaq came out bowling his heart out, and Kez and Hines just seemed to take to him. So I'm pretty sure we won that game with no loss.
Yeah, it was 10-wicket win. Yeah.
We lost maybe one or two at the most, but I'm pretty sure Kez and Hines just took him to pieces.
Yeah. It was, and we were talking between certainly when we were talking about Ernie's unfortunate 80 odd when it got rained off. We were saying about previous seasons we'd really struggled against Leyland.
I do think I played that game as well, because I'm sure we were bossing it and.
Oh, we were strolling that, and as Heinze said, Ernie unfortunately never got a ton. I don't want to keep bringing up Ernie, keep dipping into that one, but yeah, I mean, we were talking about on both occasions, Leyland did have a weaker side than what they probably had out previous couple of seasons against us. Certainly in that first game that got rained off, that was the weakest third team I've seen.
But to be fair, even if it was a weak team, so to see a team off with Shaq bowling up front,
absolutely,
no loss is no mean feat, especially on a track like Wellfield.
Yeah.
So the other thing is people talk about the quality of the batting. It's like, as I say, it's like I know I played 9 games, and I'm pretty sure the only time I had to take my bat out of the bag was when we played at New Longton. The only reason I remember that is because obviously Heinze got his ton there, and I came on to face the lad who used to play with Brotherton, Dave Marsden, the guy who got Heinze out. So I'm pretty sure.
I got a £2 fine that day against New Longton because it was a 48 partnership. No, I got.
You did,
48.
didn't you?
It was a 48 partnership for Summit Daft, and a 99 partnership, but 48 runs that I got. So it was a double.
Terrible, Eddie.
Yeah. The other thing I remember out of that game is I think you wanted a change of gloves or something like that, and Kez came running out with 3 bats, 4 pairs of gloves, towel around his neck, proper mugged you off.
Yeah, shock.
Shock.
Yeah, I think the final overwhelming memory of that season was actually at the presentation night. The guy on the table behind us threatening to knock Pete's teeth out.
Pete's teeth out.
Just telling him to shut up during the speeches. That was a great night.
I've got to say that's actually a good one to bring up, Shoz, because whilst I could pick any number of different memories from the season, and the Fret game away that Jake talked about was a biggie for me, because I think I mentioned at that point, that was the point where I really thought, that's it, that's the season done for us, we've won it at that point. But I think, and we did touch on it in that second episode of the wrap-up, the review, that presentation night was brilliant, because as a club, A, we've not won out for ages, but B, we've not had that opportunity as a group of lads and as a team to go to an occasion like that. Well, we have had, of course, we've had the opportunity. Of course, Paul and Pete every season would ask us who's going. We didn't have a reason to go. But that night was, getting the minibus, and just the whole night was a superb end to the season. It just brought it to a climax really well, I think. And just to have everyone.
There was also the fact that we had a warm-up event to that as well, because we had the finals there that also had.
True.
That was we took a bus.
Yeah.
I think that's a good point.
We have to share a car to get to ground, let alone sharing a bloody bus to get there.
Well, you were a big part of that, and that's something that we tried not to touch on in the review because it was all about the actual season itself. But you were a big part of that T20 team, and I know Kez said he felt that was a big part of the success because it got us playing in a certain manner, if you like.
It was a proper net. It was an extra net.
That's exactly what Kez said.
Yeah,
exactly
that's what he said. He gave people a chance, didn't he?
There was other teams that were turning up against us that were using us as a freebie game because that's the first time that we'd entered. So they were thinking they were coming to roll us over. But because we were all flying, we dicked a few teams.
Yeah. So just keep talking us through finals day. Now, I didn't actually go to finals day. Anybody else go to finals day? Paul, would you have been?
Yeah, I went.
You went for a bit.
So you two also went
through the evening.
Well, it got a bit rowdy, I think might be the best way of describing it.
Well, it was like you mentioned it in the previous podcast where we played the first game and we didn't turn up.
Who was it against? Was it against Freck?
Longridge.
Longridge.
No, Freck.
Yeah.
Freck.
Right.
Freck or
Freck.
Longridge, it was one of them. We were playing against. It was Freck. It was definitely
Yeah, I
Freck
think
because
it
it
was
was
Freck,
Frank
yeah.
and Josh played as well.
Yeah.
And Josh shouldn't have played, but we ended up getting beat. And then all of a sudden, we got rowdy, but following Freck and cheering for them. It's like
Yeah.
we were singing for Frankie Holden.
Yes,
because
I remember you mentioning that.
we'd abused him during the games on the pitch, but always in a respectful and like friendly manner. And then we just like sort of became a fan club, and their team appreciated it. Garstang appreciated it because we filled their bar. And then change rooms got a bit silly, even though we didn't win,
Yeah.
because there was a fire extinguisher that we got let off with.
But who was that though?
Someone who turned up for another trophy on that occasion, but I didn't see him for the rest of the season.
All
Oh,
right,
sorry.
fair enough. Fair
We had
enough.
to get special permission, didn't we, for him to be there?
More than likely, in all honesty. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we went to that Ribby Oldu. First time Cuffins had a three meal dinner, 3-course dinner. Yeah, we're good. Even seen him in a tie and not in court. That was decent.
Oh, yeah. And again, that photo where we all met up at U-Tree, and like you said, we're all suited and booted, and it's like, yeah, this is proper. This is it means something.
I think you're right though, because obviously, like you said, normally the only people who go representing Dale are like Paul, Pete, and at the time JT, who sit on the league table. But like you said, it was great that we had a minibus full. We had our own table, and it wasn't only the fact that we were there to celebrate the trophy win. We were there to celebrate Heinze breaking the league record. We were there to celebrate actually picking up Club Mark. So I think we had 3 really good reasons to actually go. And as you say, it was a really good event. I remember going, and it was a great
And
day.
Scott got an award as well.
Scott got
Keeper.
keeper
Turned out to be
as well,
Right,
yeah.
so that's
Well,
4.
It was a typical Dale ending though. It's like with the minibus driver trying to turf us out on the docks because Sammy B had his feet on the ceiling and Heinze was bouncing around the place.
It was just a case of
I
just
think
get us
Heinze-
home.
Yeah, and Heinze went up and collected somebody else's wicket keeping award, I believe, because
He talked about that, yeah.
So Heinze just like jumped out of his seat, went up and like came back with some random guy's wicket keeping award for Division 4.
Well,
That was a very late night, that one.
it was. And Kez mentioned about him losing his phone on the bus as well. So yeah, it was. Let's face it, it was Dale-esque, wasn't it? It was very apt for us. But just going back to T20 a little bit, I know Paul used to go down and watch and take some photos, as did Ink, because as I say, I used to come down and watch a lot. One thing I will touch on, not just that stood out for me from the T20 from watching a lot, not just the batting, but the bowling. People like, for example, Matty Easton. And that season in T20 almost was like a watershed moment from that. He'd been struggling to find this identity of what he was. Sort of a little bit of, mostly second team, a little bit of first team. And then ever since that T20, Matt's turned into this block hole bowler now that just seems to know what he can do with the ball. And I think the T20 was a big part of that for certain
He was
people
only a
like
young
Matt.
lad at that stage as well.
He was only a young lad at that stage. I think he almost like throwing him into the fire a little bit.
He'd come back the year before, hadn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
He'd just come back. We'd played a second team game at Ray Green, I think, with me. And then just came back, and it was just, yeah. But as you said, you didn't quite know where he was going, but no, he found his variation as well in that T20 team, and he became one of the more valuable bowlers that we had in that lineup, considering the talent that we had. He just found this extra little bit of skill that you
His cutters
needed.
are amazing. He's got an amazing cutter.
Yeah.
As well.
But just,
But he's an absolute unit now as well, though. It's like I know at one time I'd never have thought twice about standing up to him. It's like it was up to the wicket every game.
yeah.
But now it's like I think it was just after I came back from Brotherton actually, but maybe the year after I was stood up to him in nets and he cracked one of my ribs. His first delivery sent down. It's like, oh, right, okay.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
no, I mean, I faced Matt in nets Not this winter just gone, but winter before when we were at Moore Park School, and it was not a pleasant experience.
No.
And he just rushes you because there's not much to his run up, and now he's
Well,
got.
he still runs like he's got his shoes tied together. He sort of like it's like runs in with it's like baby steps, but it's like I go to the gym with him, and he's an absolute monster now. It's like he can get the ball down there, no worries.
Yeah. It's yeah. I mean, we've all said over the last couple of weeks, it's a crying shame that we've had the problems we have, because we all know how strong this first team was looking this year. Whether or not we did have the overseas or not is sort of irrelevant. Scott said it to me, just putting the team out for the virtual game. He says it makes him sad just looking at that team that he would put out, because he knows it would have been a really, really competitive team this year. And I know we can't do anything about it, but
I think coronavirus was God's way of keeping Matty away from festivals this year.
There could be that as well. Absolutely, yeah. I mean,
We'll find one to go to.
I'm going to say I'm sure there'll be a lockdown festival somewhere that Matt's been to. Don't worry about that. So that's that. The only thing I just wanted to touch on before we finished, and it's not. So I thought it might be something that somebody would raise, and we did discuss it in one of the review videos. But that was the game at Torrizome, the away game at Torrizome. Now, I think out of us here, I think there's only me and Annie played in that game. I don't. Do you, Andy and
I wasn't there.
Remember it?
No.
Now, Annie, there's a couple of reasons I want to touch on this with you, because obviously you haven't been in these previous ones, and there's a few things that happened. Not only was it an amazing game in such that they racked up a big total thanks to Clarkie's 55 off 20 odd balls.
And we behind ecstatic to watch it.
Yeah, and then we followed that up with obviously an absolutely cracking batting performance. Going back to what we said about T20, it was non-stop, it was incessant, it was whoever got out, the next person came in and just carried it on from ball one, which goes back to what we were saying about the T20 and that confidence to play your shots and confidence to bat from ball one. The other thing I want to mention might apply to Your Good Lady and her and Cuffin devouring a crate of dark fruit on the day from the sideline. I've got to say, I don't think they were as vocal as they could have been. But combine that with the fact that we had a gentleman called Peter Ingham scoring for us, who was 10 sheets to the wind in the scorebox. It was a decent following and support from those three that day, and it was just something that stood out to me in terms of we had these little gatherings of followers. I think sometimes it was Parky and some of the other lads who'd come and follow us as well, and we just had these little pockets of followers every so often that would come and support.
Julie Newton as well. Julie Newton used to come down with little glass of Prosecco.
Yeah, it was. I think it was just that thing of it created that club atmosphere. And again, we mentioned it right at the end of the second part that we kept asking Dave about what the second team view of the first team was that year, and how the club as a whole came together because we could see this thing developing. And like you say, it was almost like the perfect storm, and everything came together that season, weren't it?
It was very much a social thing. Like, some of the lads were there 3-4 times a week. So without being daft, you're combining that with your mates. If you're playing cricket with your mates, the people that don't play cricket, they're still going to come down and be there to watch you. So we were lucky that they took the trip up to Torrizome, because I'm sure we played them on a bank holiday. And every time I've played at Torrizome, it's been a bank holiday. So it's never been a nice drive, but then even getting people to commit to that. And it did help the fact that it was a sunny day as well. I remember it being blistering hot. It's just with the group that we had, because it was a fairly youngish group. And even if the lads that weren't the youngest in the team, they were youngest with mentality. We'd still being keen to be not childish, but enthusiastic in the way they go about things. Because that's what teams are built on, isn't it? People being idiots and other people getting involved with it.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. And as Sam said that at the end, he said it was great, that moment that's behind you on the screen there, where we all took to the field and we all sat around for half an hour after that game. And Sam's point was, other than yourself and Curtis, pretty much that group of lads had been through it for the last 2 or 3 years trying to get out of that division, and then suddenly everything comes together in one season, and it happens.
Well, it did. I just looked before the stats. I couldn't believe that this were right. Out of the 22 games, it said that we'd won 18,
Yeah,
drawn 2, and no result in 2. Winning
Yeah.
18 in a season, scary.
Yeah.
Having the best wicket-keeper league, lads with the most runs in the league, and if they weren't scoring the most runs, I think there were me, Kurt, and Hines with the most not-outs.
yeah,
If your top 3 are getting not-outs, the game's already won.
yeah.
And then you had 3 bowlers in the top 5 wickets of the league. So you've got every department taken over. It's just, as much as they enjoyed the game off the field, it was scary what they did on it, because we battered everyone. There were a few sticky situations, a few close games where, like I said, Paul's not that saved us, and there's a couple of innings where Kurt gets 6 for 7 for
Yeah.
a couple of your hat-tricks that stop teams getting an extra 20, 30 runs. It was weird how everything clicked, because normally you'll have one decent batter and then the rest will just
Yeah.
form average. But having every department boss, it's like, I also know Hines, he took, like, I'm shooting double figures in fieldings.
Yeah.
Like, I've never taken 5 catches in a season. Yeah, he's taking 10. It's weird.
Yeah, you touched on something good there as well. I don't even remember that many drop catches that season. I don't, I think, like you say, even things like that, I don't remember a great deal of that. And yeah, like you say, Heinze said, we had our luck. Good number of times Heinze got dropped during the season. You don't get 925 runs in a season without being dropped a little bit as well. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, we did have our slice of luck. But I think that what you touched on there in terms of we had that group of players, and it was incessant. Whether it was a bowling aspect, you could bring openers come off, and I think Heinze said normally he felt as a top line batsman, openers come off for one team, first change, that's it. You can settle in, then your runs are going to flow. With us, we had let's say Kurt and JT opening, then there was myself, Gareth, Eastham. Jake, sorry, yeah. Well, we would probably been Jake and Kurt opening.
Jake and Kurt
me and JT, G. So yeah, it was fairly incessant. And then, like you said, with batting, you've got a top 4 or 5, 6 there that any one of them can get a 50 easily. And I think by halfway through that season, a lot of teams had worked that out. And we were hearing things from other clubs that if anybody wins league above Wharton-le-Dale, they bloody deserve it, type of thing. So yeah, it was a good way to do it, in all honesty. And yeah, it all came together from my point of view. It was almost like, as I say, I use the phrase perfect storm. Everything came together at the right time. And as I say, I've made it clear a number of times. For me, it's just disappointing looking back on that photo behind you, and also the team photo we had done, and saying, if only that team could have stuck together for another couple of years, where would it ended up? And because it did break up pretty damn quickly after that. Even following season, I think at least 4 or 5 of that team had gone. And yeah, it was a shame, because I think if it could have stuck together for another couple of seasons, you could have been talking on verge of Premier League by that point. So shame, but we can't look to the past, and things are looking good for the future in terms of the structure of the club and the players that have come in. So hopefully sometime soon we might get another promotion on the cards. Hopefully next season, if that's going to be the case now. So
well, you'll sort out a virtual one this year, won't you?
Oh yeah, I mean we're nailed on for promotion this year. Absolutely, virtually. Yeah, absolutely, we're nailed on, pal. So I'll put that to league, that if we do it virtually, then it's obviously got to happen. Paul will make it happen. He can put our voice onto the league committee for that.
Totally fair, that.
Absolutely, I think we've nailed on that one.
Neil, just another question about the season.
Yes,
I don't ever remember. I remember the seasons after, but like fines, I don't remember us having much of a biff at people. So like, if someone got a duck or anything, did we do it? I don't think we did.
I don't think we did, but what you're actually touching on something good that Kaz mentioned in terms of you doing the warm-ups that hadn't been done before. We got the training kit that Sam got, which we hadn't had for a long time. And again, fair play to you doing the warm-ups.
Professionalism.
Exactly that, Dave. It gave us that I mean, I don't want to use the word professionalism, but again, that team environment. So we're working together as a team, organised, exactly. And that can only bode well for you. If you're doing that, it can only set you up good for rest at game. And I think that was a key component to it. And, clothing might not have been that, but certainly warm-ups, like you used to do oldies versus young'uns, in warm-up, we'd all get involved. And I've not seen that since in terms of that level of involvement from everybody. And it won't be amiss that would have had a serious effect on how we went about things for sure.
I think it also had an effect on the other team that turned up and saw us going through this professional.
I was just about to say, Paul, there were teams that people are tossing up, and teams have still got 7-8 men. They're waiting for them to arrive. Yet we've already been there an hour and a half. We're 2 butties deep into Penningtons.
Yeah. And you've had half an hour netting, and then you've had a 15-20 minute warm up, and then you are ready to go.
Yeah.
I used to hate those oldies versus youngies when Amy did them. Bloody hell.
Yeah, but they were.
They got competitive then.
Yeah.
One hand, one stump, weren't it?
One stump. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, it worked. From my point of view, it worked, and it's a good point that I think other teams. I wouldn't go to as far as saying we had teams beat just by doing a warm up, but you definitely see teams looking at us and going, "Hell, this isn't the Wantley Dale we know." What's this team? But
that was the only time that we actually trained together though before the game, because during the week we'd train it'd be Monday, there'd be lads training every other night.
Yeah.
But with work commitments, there'd be 4 or 5 people each night, and ever since I've played cricket, that's never been. You can't put a message on a WhatsApp group at 2 o'clock saying who fancy a net tonight, and people chirped up. That doesn't normally happen, but it did that year, and people were training 2-3 times. They were playing on a Wednesday. They'll be helping out with the juniors or what have you. Who were doing the ground at that stage? JT?
JT, probably, I would have thought, yeah.
JT's down every other night. Yeah. There was so much going on, but before the game, that was the only time that we were all together.
Yeah.
But I remember properly.
I think even from someone who was, as I said, I played most of the season in seconds, but you kind of fed off the success that the first were having because you saw them doing so well, this group playing brilliantly, and that kind of filtered through, and everything, like whilst we were playing, we were sometimes more interested in the updates that were coming out from the first and seeing how quickly they were rattling through a game.
Yeah.
And when you did get called up, so like when me or Shoz went up for those few games, you kind of felt a responsibility that this team's doing bloody well.
Yeah.
You can't let them down because this is a bloody tight-knit group of lads who are playing well, so come in and do your bit.
Yeah.
Kind of fed off the energy that team had. So,
yeah, it's a good point, Paul. And as I say, I think Kez felt that as well when we talked to Kez. He was like, the lads who came up from the seconds were brought up to do a specific job. They were brought into bat. They were brought into bowl. So from that point of view, it did, and it encapsulated the seconds, like you said, feeding into the first, and it hadn't happened a lot. And okay, maybe it hasn't happened since, and maybe that's a key component of why things haven't gone so well since. But yeah, on that season, again, going back to what we said, everything coming together in the right manner and right time, right place, and it created that net result really more than anything else. But yeah. Right, well, I think that's about it, chaps. So thank you for your input. One thing we did touch on there towards the end, Paul, was those early finishes, and I know it was mentioned earlier in terms of maybe there was some other halves who didn't get the full picture of when we were finishing some of those games, but that's long in the past now, and that doesn't go on anymore. Absolutely, that never happens.
You got to the stage when I couldn't open WhatsApp for 2 hours after the game. Can't be seen that you're online. Doesn't happen.
Oh dear. Yeah,
who did we play at that school last season where we rolled them for 30?
That was F&B Thirds, yeah, at Our Ladies, yeah.
No.
Last season, St Anne's, yeah.
Yeah, where we were done by 3 o'clock.
Yeah, that was just 37 all out, and then knocked it off
and Alice
about 8 overs. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, we definitely, that doesn't happen anymore. We don't have early finishes. We all finish at 8 o'clock every week. That's it. So yeah. Right. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for reviewing that 2015 season, and we'll just wrap things up nicely in terms of reviewing what we looked at in the previous couple of videos. It's always nice to reminisce. So that ties things up nicely. So thanks again.